Hello, once again, and welcome here to our program. That is our podcast on KMTV. This is the Gracious Hope live stream podcast. We are here every Saturday at 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and of course, 9 p.m. GMT. And for those of you who are our listeners or viewers in Liberia and London with the GMT time zone, as well as in the United States, those with the Pacific time zone, would like to say welcome. This is the podcast, and the podcast here is all about contemporary issues that affect the Christian life of faith. And of course, we discuss issues that affect the life of those who believe in Jesus Christ. And looking at our nation, we are very, very predominantly a Christian nation. When I mean population wise, even those who serve both in the private sector as well as in the public sector. And so we speak to everyone regarding issues that affect your life and my life, and to see how best we can live together in a positive light, knowing that God is the provider, and based on his provision and gracious or providence, he allows us to breathe each and every day with the breath of life. So we are so grateful to be here. And today we'll be looking at the truth and fuss about President George Weah and his wife Clar Weah. I know the topic may sound alarming to you, but we'll be looking at variety of ways in which we can talk about issues regarding our country, both the present and the future, and also regarding the controversy, the recent controversy surrounding a page that was co-authored by Mr. Isaac Vah Tukpah Jr. And he's our guest today. He will be talking about his book. He'll be talking about his life. Who is Mr. Tukpah? Some of you heard about his name or have seen him. He has worked on a lot of projects in Liberia. He is currently the Chief Executive Officer, that is the CEO of Sustainable Development International. And he focuses on building and developing green infrastructures and renewable energy, water management, agriculture, and the rest. He's also the vice president for operations of Civics and Services International, preparing young people in Africa for leadership and to become agents of change, as well as he is also involved with the Zogos, those disadvantaged youths who don't have place to stay, those who are roaming the streets. He has helped over 1,000 of them in many ways, providing clothing and other assortments of things that they need, making sure that they are assisted in a way. And so Mr. Isaac Vah Tukpah Jr. is going to be here. We understand he also served as the chief of staff of the opposition party, ANC leader Alexander Cummings. So he will have a whole lot to say here to clarify some of the controversy, things that have been going around regarding the new book with Emmanuel Clark about the rise to power, the legend, and let's say legacy of our President George Weah, Manu Weah. And so he will have a whole lot to say. But most importantly, Mr. Tukpah is a Christian. And based on his faith, he has been persevering all along throughout his life, his challenges, and of course, helping as a Liberian citizen areas in which we are lacking. And his desire, according to him, he knows and understands the needs of Liberians, and it is his desire and outlook to do so through nonprofit, political, and also personal activities. So he has a good heart for the country, and hopefully he will have a whole lot to say here today that we can learn from. And if you would like to opine, that is, if you like to give your comments, please do so. Right in the comment section, and let us know what you think and what you believe and why you know about our country, and why some of the issues that we'll be talking about can make a difference in pushing forward or developing our country. But we also want to say that please let us be respectful too. Okay, our language or our writing should be decent in every way, because we are on a platform that focuses on contemporary issues that affect those of the faith and those who see that they must look beyond themselves in order to be or enjoy the fullness of life. So I'm so glad that you are here today. And of course, as always, our co-host, Reverend Suah Deddeh, is here as well. Reverend Deddeh, welcome. It's Saturday, beautiful Saturday. As you know, we are all here. And today's topic kind of drawing a lot of people's attention regarding our host today, not our host, but our guest speaker today, Mr. Vah.
Exactly, exactly. As you can see, my image is kind of different today. I'm now on my laptop. My laptop started misbehaving just before I came on air, so I'm using my phone today. So if my face is kind of different or far away, I apologize for that. Of course, this is the day. No matter what, this is the day the Lord has made. We're gonna rejoice and be glad in it. I'm glad that Brother Tukpah, Mr. Tukpah agreed to be our special guest today. We know there are a lot of things happening right now surrounding this book. I must say from the onset, I've not read a book. I've been trying to order one, and it's taking forever to come. But I wanted to read a book and know how to, be able to approach this issue. But at least we still have a lot of discussion in the public square. So we will look at what we already have in the public square. And I'm glad that Isaac will expand on what has happened and give us some insight that we don't know that he knows. So again, welcome to this broadcast. Again, I join Alex to encourage you, please be responsible, civil with your comments. We're talking about people of character. We don't want to just spew anything in the air because we are angry. So let's exercise the best restraints we can as we discuss this topic today. So Alex, again, good to see you, brother.
Yeah, always good to see you. And you know, President Weah has been president for a few years now. Looking forward to for re-election or toward re-election. The opposition parties are gearing up, and they want to challenge him. And so we have these challenges or debates up and down. But it's all politics. But as you know, we want our country to be peaceful and sustainable in many ways. And at a time where our country is at a bridge of whether we want to progress or whether we want to remain in the same place. But if we all will answer the quick question, or we all will emphasize or emphatically say we want to progress. And so we are so glad to bring on the author of the new book, which is about the rise of power, the legacy of President Weah, and of course, that controversial topic here. And then who is the man? Mr. Vah himself. He'll be talking about who he is, and so that you can know him better and understand and get a clarity of everything that has been said on social media platforms as well as other social outlets. So Mr. Vah will be here shortly. He's preparing the background. I just looked there. Okay, so now here you are. He's at. Okay, Mr. Vah, we'd like to say welcome and welcome and welcome once again to Gracious Hope live podcast. And it's a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, now I know in recent time, the social media has been bustling with your name. And we understand you went through some ordeal, whether it was an ordeal or not, but at the Sierra Leonean border, where you later on returned, and then finally you made it to the United States. We are so happy to see you here. But now, what would be the outfront here you can say regarding, first we say the true and the false things regarding your book, things you said about the president's legacy, his family or his wife, as well as other things that we will get to later on. But so let's start off here. Let's get up the heavy work from the way.
I don't want to make this a conversation about the book if people have not read the book. So yes. I'm not going to say true and false. The bottom line is we stand by what we put in the book, period. So it's not going to be a back and forth about the book. People can read the book and people can have their opinions. The book is done. We're not justifying. We don't feel we have to justify anything. I mean, the one thing we have made clear is that some people, or I have made clear, is that some people felt offended by the terminology used, and we respect that. We respect people's feelings. And for those who are honestly offended, I apologize to them for feeling that way. But at this point, the facts are there. We can support them at any point in time. So it's not about, the truth or the false of anything. In my opinion, it's just that we are where we are and we are moving forward what we've done.
Okay, great. And strictly here, do you accept President Weah as your president? Do you respect his legacy?
Wait, you asking two different questions.
Okay.
Accepting as president and respecting his legacy, that's multiple questions. Without doubt, I respect him as my president. I don't think his performance is at the level I expected, or the issues that he's supposed to focus on at what he's doing, or the advancements that we have expected to have been achieved at this point. No, and then his legacy, I think, is split in two, or maybe even more than two. You can look at his, legend as a soccer player, which is excellent. He did very well. There are other aspects that may not be at that level, whether it's his personal life, whether it's his political life, whether it's how he has managed the country. So there's different aspects. It's just not one, he's President Weah has many sides. He's just not one person you can just pigeonhole.
Exactly. Okay. Reverend Deddeh.
Yeah, Isaac, I'm just interested in knowing how are you today? How's the family doing?
I'm great. Many people want me to be quiet or get rest, but I'm not that kind of person that, need rest. I like to be engaged. I like to be doing stuff, especially the stuff I personally like to do. And one of those things I like to do is to share my opinions on different issues, and sometimes even debate those issues with people who come to the table with a substantive position that's contrary to mine.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So looking back on the events over the couple of days, were you really afraid of something happening to you? I just want to get your
I'm like really at peace with the life I have lived. So fear is not a factor for me. Sometimes caution, sometimes understanding the situation. But what can anybody do to you? I mean, at the end of the day, people can die from just strangulation of our rice grain. Wrong rice grain going in the wrong part of your throat, you could cough to death. COVID is killing people worldwide. People are dying from other very simple diseases, especially in a place like Liberia with very poor healthcare. So death is not something that I fear. And sometimes people try to reprimand me for saying that, but that's just the fact. Death is a part of life. Everybody here on this call right now, everybody listening, at some point they are going to die, some earlier than others. So death is not something I fear. Obviously, if I can avoid situations where my life is threatened, I will try to do that, but there's no fear.
There's no fear, and that would be what a typical Christian would say always, because we depend on God's power, His guidance, and of course His wisdom. So there's no need to fear or be feared of death, especially when you know that you are saying from your own conviction what is true and what you know and understand. And I know you have a heart and desire to develop our country through the training of young people to become leaders. You are doing that right now on the level of the African continent, looking at young people, trying to develop them, looking at Liberians and Lesocos that you're trying to help involve yourself with, providing other things for them that they need. Now, looking at the health of our country and looking at your output right now, co-authoring a book. We are not going to go into content here, okay, because people need to buy the book and read it. Yes. However, what is your motivational factor? What is a motivational factor that led you to write a such book or to let Liberians know about that leader?
Wonderful. Some people try to detract from the person, George Weah, but I think in a wholesome way, his story is a major story. It's a story that reflects so many different qualities, characteristics, values, and it relates to our young people especially. It's something that they can study and look at and see how they themselves can position themselves to achieve some of that success and avoid some of the pitfalls. So I think it was a very worthy effort to pursue, to tell that story. The struggle, the rise from poverty, the dedication to his craft to achieve the level of excellence that he achieved, that he became world best, was respected, his own persistence to prove doubters wrong in terms of, moving himself forward with his education, trying to be fit in a space that he was he had not gravitated to as a young person in terms of focusing on his education. So you got to respect all of those. Then just his persistence trying to get into the whole politics thing, and just how he dealt with people over time that built that political gravitas and base for him, where people really liked the icon George Weah. And then when you leave the local scene, or even before you leave the local scene, you relate his life to different phases of our own development of our country in terms of major events, from the 1979 riots to the 1980 coup, to his interaction with people who led the government at that time, to the war years, what he did. So all of those are intricately intertwined. And those are things that people need to understand. It's very historic. There's a lot of facts around it, not just hearsay, a lot of researchable items that relates to history. So it just paints a wonderful picture that can help people, guide young people, and be a document for posterity that people can look at later and get an understanding and a reflection of the times that he lived in, how the challenges were, how he excelled. I mean, it's not easy for some people to leave from home and go to strange lands and be able to be successful, So there's a lot of positive. At the same time, you look at his character, you look at his personality, you look at some of his behaviors, his group dynamics, his people relationships, and all of those things. All of those things factor in. That's what makes the story great. And besides being a Liberian story, it's an African story, and he's a worldwide icon. So that's how you look at it. And I'm sure young people in South America, in parts of Europe, even in the Arab world, they all have had some kind of knowledge about the individual George Weah and the icon that he became. And then you look at the world today, about nearly 250 million people play soccer. So that's a sport that has significant worldwide influence and impact. And most Liberians today, anywhere you go, if you say you are from Liberia, most likely the first question anybody will ask you, George Weah? So, that has been that consonance between his name and our country's name. So looking at that from a historical perspective and being able to bring that live, in a book to people, and for them to probably get a better understanding. And some people have different perspectives, it's just like looking at an elephant. If you look at the trunk, you see something different. You look at the tail, you see something different. You look at the toenails, you see something different. You look at the ears, you feel something different. You look at the thighs, you feel something different. You look at the titties, you feel something different. So there's multiple sides to the individual, and we try to bring that as a package in the book. And that's why we think people should read the book, people should understand the story, and then they can debate the merits of what we have put in the book.
I'm wondering,
that's true. Go ahead.
These positives that you mentioned. Why are people upset about this? Okay, again, people have to read the book to the watching the book. But what do you think? Get people all in arms with all the positives you just talked about. I'm just interested.
So you look at a 300. Look, okay. The reality too. The people who support George Weah, they are very insecure and sensitive. That's just the reality. And as many of the, I don't want to call them sycophants, but many of them are sycophants. Unfortunately, they don't try to push the truth. So in that space, they are just overly sensitive. Now there's somebody who has not read the book and they say I wrote nonsense. So you take a book. Let me see if I can check. I probably can check the number of words in the book. But you look at the number of pages, 310 pages. You even look at the chapters. They didn't consider the chapter. They look at 2 words, maybe 3. The word rip and the word take vaginally. They look at those 3 words. And for the limited mindset people, that's all they see. So they come and they say what they want to say. I can submit myself to that. They should read the book. Unfortunately, what they say, we don't even read past page 5. Most Liberians, they don't. So they have to read the book. They have to understand the mindset that we approach the book with as a historical element, as something that reviews the entire person, as something that talks about the pluses and the negatives. But if you balance it out from a personal level, and I'm not talking political, from a personal level, the positives, in my opinion, probably outweigh the negatives.
Okay, and
we jump on the negative because their own insecurity and wanting to make it something different.
okay, and Mr. Vah, okay, you were talking about, yes, how people, young people, especially young people, they can learn from the legacy of George Weah from
Right.
poverty level, and he ascended to stardom. Now, if I'm a kid reading that book and I look at maybe chapter 6 or 5, the one that is causing the uproar among women right now, look at that particular chapter and discussing about the president's private life or privacy or the first lady. Don't you think that will compromise all the positives that you're talking about? If
that's up to that individual and the balance. If you feel everything else always that, then fine, that's it for you. I'm not going to be a judgment for a judge of anybody's understanding or how they come away from the book. No, I'm not going to be that, and I don't have a problem with people thinking otherwise, that outbalances anything else. And the book is not intended to just be a positive about George Weah. No, it's intended to tell the story. His interaction with friends, his interaction with people, his rise to power, what happened there, what happened in the CDC. So, it's up to people to decide what they want to take from the book.
That's true.
I'm sure most of the people talking have not read the book. So I don't have a problem with ignorance.
Yeah. I mean, people will make comments. Yeah, I know people will make comments, but that's all part of the culture.
You see, that's the difference between me and many people. I believe in democracy. I believe that people have freedom of speech. So I never have a problem with what somebody says. Whether it's negative towards me or not, I don't have a problem.
Okay, and Mr. Tukpah, it is interesting that a lot of women are personally, saying things that, like, okay, Clar, Weah, his wife, she's a very good woman engaged in nonprofit initiatives. Her foundation is helping young people realize their worth and their dignity. And she was describing the book. And so women are looking at it in a whole different perspective. That is, it is an attack on all women because women have not had the opportunity to ascend. And it is a manly thing to always degrade women. What do you say to the people?
Many of them, I say they are hypocrites. Because for one, those are what we cross-reference with the people we talk to. Right? So that's why we put that together. That's why, based on the information we achieve. We did not go in the sky and pick that information. No. It's the people we talk to who provided that information. And they provided many other information. So if they want to center on that one piece, I have no problem, especially for those who don't read the book. We don't have a problem. But for those who are pretending, where is the moral outrage for the 13-year-old that was raped and sodomized and died? Where is the moral outrage for the 7-year-old girl at in Abuja with her father at the embassy and another ambassadorial staff? 2 wards raped her over a period of 6-7 months. Where is the outrage for the sex for grades in schools, the sex for jobs, the appointment of people, girlfriends in positions they are not qualified for? Where is the outrage for the young people, the young girls who are raped, go through statutory rape, and at the same time, their bodies are not prepared to have birth, they suffer from fistula? Or a study was done back in 2008. 90 to 95% of these young people are suffering from fistula. And what happens? Somebody like Joseph Boyka, he was vice president at the time. Did he say anything about it? Did he express any outrage about that today, after being how should I say it, a parker for 12 years, he would now have the audacity to come and make a statement or position on women issues? Where is the effort for women to be truly a part of governance, truly a part of the political structure? Where is the advocacy? The sexual and gender based violence that exists in our community, nearly every community, every day you go there, some men beating some woman. Where is the moral outrage for that? So I say those people are hypocrites, that it would take 2 words and they would drive on it. That's up to them. So if they don't read a book, I'm not responsible for the ignorance. I try to help ignorant people all the time to understand the issues. I try to break it down to them. I try to help with civics for them to understand their own rights. But to the extent that they don't, and they prefer to be ignorant to the issues, then that's fine. Take, for example, some of the people protesting. Many of them cannot even read. So they don't even understand the nature. Just somebody telling them, oh, go in the street because of X, Y, Z. That's on them. That's not on me. You know, we help as much as we can, but the Liberian people don't want to relate. They don't want to understand. We can't do anything more than that.
Okay. And so what will be your answer to those who are saying, well, Mr. Tukpah, yes, great guy, very good writer, good speaker. He formerly worked with Alexander Cummings as chief of staff, and his boss, Alexander Cummings, dismissed him because of the book. And now we see him, of course, he's a Christian, but why would he, write all the good things about Weah, include with his co-author, and then not say anything about how the country can progress? What will you say to those people?
You do know how many offerings we have given about how the country can progress? I mean, that's our area. That's what we have been doing consistently. How can we have a better Liberia? So there's nobody who can tell me that I haven't offered numerous solutions as to how our country can progress. I helped to push the CDC where it was to get state power. We offered many of the solutions. And are they implementing them? No. That's one of the reasons why I left the CDC. We can come together as a people or as a group. We decide on certain things and we want to move the country forward, and we get to power and people shift in a different direction. So we can do that.
So would you mind sharing with us what are some of those solutions you suggested for those who have not heard it from you directly? At least you have the opportunity now to tell them some of the solutions and ideas you offered and that hasn't been taken seriously. Would you mind to share some?
Simple one is the agricultural sector. How do we move our people from subsistence farming to semi-mechanized farming? How do we decentralize agricultural operations instead of having one piece at what do you call the place in Cary? How do we invest more money into the agricultural sector? How do we cut down on all these unnecessary expenses, the high salaries, all of those things? All of those things we have provided offering. This tourism thing, they talk about the bicentennial today. We were the one who've been pushing tourism for the last 4 or 5 years. But what happens now? Many incompetents in the government has taken it over. They don't even understand the sector. They don't even understand how to move the sector. They don't even understand how to prepare and train people. They don't understand the quick impact improvements in some of the areas that people could visit. Unnatural for us is ecotourism. What have we done in ecotourism? How are we prepared for the bicentennial? For President, we have to just host programs in Monrovia. That's not going to boost our tourism sector. So those are just two areas, So I will stop there because there's many of the people who are probably listening to the show right now, I just wish they could relate. I just wish they could contribute to the development of this country. I just wish they could speak to the issues and hold people accountable, especially when it comes to women empowerment, not just tokenism, not just starting programs where they shift from the actual substance of the programs in terms of empowering market women to empowering a certain number of people or few select people to be able to do this. So all these things affect our country. Yeah. And if people cannot recognize that they want to put wool over their eyes or they want to put bag on their heads so that they don't see the real stuff, some of us, we're not like that. We speak the truth.
Yes, and you agree with me that the government as a whole does not have the answer to everything and everybody, and the government does not have eyes to see everywhere. Only God, the sovereign God, has eyes to see everywhere because he's omnipresent, right? You agree with that?
I don't agree with you. You're trying to give the government a pass. That's an excuse.
No. I'm coming.
No, that's an excuse. I don't agree with you.
Okay.
Government responsibility is to protect its citizens, to make sure it's in the Constitution. All these things, the requirements of government is a social contract. Government has an obligation to provide economic welfare for its people. Those who are dependent, those who don't have the ability to fend for themselves, government has the obligation to pick them up. That's why government controls the coffers. That's why government does the taxes. That's why government negotiate contracts with the concessions. But our people are not protected. Look at the kind of concessions we are negotiating, concession agreements we are negotiating, where our people don't benefit. You go in nearly all the countries with minerals right now. The Chinese, the Ghanaians, the other people, they are exploiting our resources as if to say it going other side, and by the end of this government, we will not have any resources. That's how fast they're trying to exploit our resources. Where's the control? What is the returns to people in those communities? It's absent. And we can't operate like that. Everybody can't be silent. Everybody's not a sycophant. Everybody's not a butt kisser. Excuse the expression. We need people to stand up. There are so many people who know the wrongs but they're quiet. How can you want to have a better Liberia and you quiet in the face of absolute wrongs? You can't be like that. And you can't get this thing like, government can see everything. Government responsibility is to secure its border, to protect its people, to create an enabling environment for people to be able to get jobs, for job creation. And that's one of the key premises of the CDC, promising the young people, even if the Zogos, on rehabilitation, on training, on reintegrating them into the society. That is absent. What can they tell you about the Zogo population when it started in 2018 to what it is today? It probably has multiplied by 2.5, if maybe not 3. In most of the communities today, we got ghettos. All around the schools, we got ghettos. And that attracts our young people because many are idle. There's no recreational activities for the children. The moms, when they take their kids, some of them, their kids got to work. They got to work. How many kids are not in the streets? So what are we doing to change the lives of our people, the bread and butter issues? Most people, even the group of security people that arrested me, many of them are unhappy. I hope this government recognizes the level of angst and unhappiness of our people today. They are very, very unhappy.
Okay.
Let's go on a little bit, Isaac, on the rest. I wanted to come there, and I'm glad you pivoted towards that. A lot of people who saw the video, because I saw it myself, some are on edge, especially your family, family members and close friends were on edge, loved ones were on edge. Would you mind drilling us just the timeline, because the report also says you were I don't know whether arrested or detained or caught at the border at 11:45. So what is the true story? Would you just carry us through everything?
The government lied again. I was at the TNE checkpoint. That's where they stopped me because they had shared my picture around, I guess, to the different checkpoints, which I don't know why, what was the motivation, why they did it. But I was responsive to the immigration officer because I didn't feel I had done anything. I didn't feel insecure. I was simply trying to get away from town, to get away from the noise. So they stopped me there, and then they called the bosses from what they call the place name, from Bullwater side. They drove and came to TNE and picked me up and took me to Bullwater side. So I was never at the border. That's the first lie. I was never at the border. They took me there, I guess, to hold me. Maybe they didn't have a holding cell because they said they were trying to protect me, but it was an arrest. As a grown man, are you saying I cannot move freely in a democratic country? The people who die in Monrovia that was going to be protecting, the people who they jacking their purses every day, the people who they beating, the armed robbery, all of that stuff. They're not focusing on it. That was nearly, my birthday is February 26th is coming up. A nearly 60-year-old man, you can't tell you want to protect because it's a bad area. What's the crime rate in TNE? What is the crime rate in Besset where I was trying to go? They can't tell me. So it was an arrest. And they held me overnight. 6 o'clock in the morning, Maggie calls the commandant at the base. And he said he wanted to speak to me because a lot of people were calling him. I spoke to Maggie. Are you all right? Yeah, all right. All right. So in the morning, 6 o'clock, you go, what the hell does the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs has to do with a situation where somebody is arrested? Why the head of immigration body didn't call me, or maybe the police didn't call me? Why it had to be McGill? So obviously it tells you that this stuff was at the highest level. They were involved in it. Okay, so you say I'm free to go in the morning. In the morning comes, they're restricting me. They don't want me to go. Talking about somebody got to sign for me. Sign for me? Who's coming sign for me? My 94-year-old dead mother? Come on. So the reality of this whole thing, it was a farce. It was a joke. on the government's part to do what they wanted to do, but I don't know what they accomplished by what they were trying to do. So basically, we're there until I was adamant I had to leave. Then they said they had to escort me to Monrovia, and they were procrastinating, trying to wait for police escort. We bypassed the police escort on the road when we were going. We got to one point, one of the checkpoints, where the guy stopped us. He was standing in the middle of the road and he said he wouldn't go. I was driving with some people from Spoon TV, and then they escalated the situation where the guy was talking about, oh, so if I run you over, blah, blah. The driver had said something about running the guy over. The policeman standing there said, I will shoot all of y'all in our car. So that's the kind of mindset we're dealing with. It's that life does not matter. They can just feel they can shoot anybody. So I just don't understand, how people can take this situation, look at it, and say, oh, it was not an arrest situation. It was strictly an arrest situation. I was not free.
Spoon get into the picture, Spoon FM. How did they come to the picture?
Who?
Spoon.
Oh, Spoon. I mean, I guess, Spoon is in the news business, and they're in the breaking news business. So once somehow it leaked out that they had arrested me, Spoon tried to mobilize the resources. He was on the phone with McGill. He was calling other people. He was trying to get an understanding. He was trying to let them understand the gravity of the situation. If they were trying to do anything, they should desist from doing it. So eventually, his TV crew or live crew came, and they were the ones who were there. No, I don't think any other reporter were there. I don't even think there was local reporter there. So it was Spoon that had a monopoly on that particular news situation.
And talking about your ordeal, and I know you felt at the time that your rights were violated because your movement of freedom was restricted. Now, looking at others in our country whose freedom have been restricted or silenced, for example, human sacrifice is on the rise, and we also see that crime is on the rise, where people are even killed in broad daylight. Remember, Tolbert, the son of President Tolbert, was killed. Tolbert's son was killed. The other immigration officer was killed. And so the sense of insecurity is somehow prevalent, where people don't feel safe. And I know some see it as a political issue, and some see it as a constitutionally mandated issue, as well as issues that are concerned with. From your experience and your perspective, how will you look at the human rights condition on the current political climate in our country?
Well, you just broke it down. And why are you asking me again? You just demonstrated that it illustrated that human rights are not respected. They have a horrible human rights record. They like to claim that they don't have any political prisoner. That's fine. But if you're abusing the rights of the people, you're not respecting it. Look at the simple protests. Just the other day. Peaceful protests. Constitutional people have the right to gather, to get together. All of a sudden you just start shooting and tear gas at the people and think that's okay, that's a respect of the human rights, injuring them. They need to bring a class action lawsuit against the government. They did the same thing with the June 7th or whatever on the COP or whoever did. So and that's the sad part that I can't understand. This CDC government protested by the time Ellen sneezed. I was part of some of those protests, organizing them. Okay. Everything was a protest, because protest is an expression of democracy. It's a right that the people have to do. If you don't agree with government, those are some of the avenues: rally, protest, demonstration, open letter to the president. All of those things are tools that people use in a democracy. Okay? So the reality is they have a bad human rights record. They don't respect the people. They don't protect the people. And it's just something that may even get worse as we move towards elections.
So what's your plan? Do you intend to return to Liberia?
Liberia is my home. Yeah, I'll return to Liberia. No question.
And currently he is the CEO there for the Sustainable Development International, and they focus on building green infrastructures and renewable energy. So currently he has to go back.
Right. We have a couple of projects now that we are actually behind on, partly due to COVID and partly due to our technician not being ready to get on the ground. So we've got to do those as soon as possible. And hopefully, he will be on the ground by about mid-February. That's our target date. I just came. I haven't talked to him yet, and we'll be able to to get on the ground. So I don't know why Bobby Honey, whoever she is worried about some of these people who writing this crazy stuff, man.
Yeah. People always make comment. I mean, that's our opinion. You remember, it's democracy now, so they got to express
That's
themselves.
what I'm saying. So she shouldn't even be worried about them.
Okay.
Now one man can threaten people. Now one person charged stupid. So people can say what they want to say. It's about doing. Many people are not doers; they just talkers.
So now, the same situation you're going through right now, your co-author.
Excuse me,
Emmanuel Clark. How is he doing? Is he okay? Emmanuel Clark.
Emmanuel is fine. Emmanuel is fine. I would have loved for us to have been here, but I haven't been able to get in touch with him today. Most likely, most of the other shows will be on together.
Yeah, I did call him. I left a message. Hopefully he'll get back to me. But okay. So now, if you are just listening, this is the Gracious Hope live podcast on KMTV. KMTV, we are the best from the West. If you put up to the test, we beat the rest.
Wow.
My name is Alexander Red, and of course, Reverend Suah Deddeh here. And this platform is all designed to talk about contemporary issues that affect the Christian life of faith, and of course, issues that affect you that are listening right now, whether it is politics, your spiritual life, or any other situation you might face. We talk about these things because we believe that the Bible gives the answer to your situation, and we speak based on the perspective from the Bible, and that is God's holy word. And also from the fact that our country was founded constitutionally, if you look at the preamble, depending on God's gracious providence to make us survive as a nation. So based on our precedents, we have this platform to talk about issues in our country. Every weekend, we are here 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and of course, 9 p.m. GMT. And this is Mr. Isaac Vah Tukpah Jr., who is now embroiled in a controversy based on a book that he co-authored with Emmanuel Clark. Now, Mr. Vah, you're a man of faith. You believe in Jesus Christ, and most of your colleagues in our country.
Let me just be clear to you. I've questioned that whole construct. Sometimes I don't know if Reverend
which construct, like a man of faith?
No. Well, there's faith in something,
in Jesus
but
Christ.
Just the way our country is, sometimes I wonder if there is even a God for the way Liberia is so God-forsaken, like He has left us to just squander. So
that is why I'm coming to. That is why I'm coming to.
Okay.
That for me, I personally believe, and I know Reverend Deddeh believes this too. Okay. Now, the problem, if you look at all of the details that we just enumerated or you just talked about, it boils down to one thing: spiritual. We have a spiritual problem because if you are not in the right spirit and the right mind, you will not really love someone next door to you or to harm them or abuse their rights. But if God says, love others as you love me, with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and love others as you love yourself, then with that spiritual realization, you'll be able to love your neighbor. But you can see hatred, envy, and a lot of other things when it comes to corruption. They don't just happen on the outside. It comes from within. And so from your perspective and experience and man of faith of the Christian faith, you have seen a lot. And based on your vast knowledge, look at the spiritual health of our country. What is your perspective of the church? Do you think the church is exerting itself or playing its role?
Well, there may be one or two, but there are a lot of prosperity preachers who are promising people things that they cannot deliver. And it has become a major business. It's a small business, it's a medium business, a large business based on who's operating and the locale they're operating in. It's also a total distraction for some communities, whether there's zoning or no zoning. I don't know in Liberia at all, because people 6 o'clock Sunday morning, you can hear loud drum beating in some communities. People can't rest. I personally love for the church to operate. I love for people to come together, congregate, and serve the Lord and praise the Lord together, which strengthens the faith. But at the level our churches are operating, is really, really like a business model that they're using to get rich at the expense of the people. So
Go ahead. Go ahead. I know you look at the comments. Go ahead. People commenting. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't want anybody to back me. I want people to understand. I don't need no backup. I'm one by myself. I can stand for anything I believe in against any number of people.
Go
So
ahead.
people who are expecting a forced apology, I don't know for what. We have apologized to those who are legitimately offended with the language. We're not apologizing. I'm not apologizing for anything else. It's just plain and simple. So people can stretch their vein all they want. It's not going to happen.
Okay, so let's look at the spiritual issue. So they have a lot of you said they have a lot of let's see here. Hold on a second. We have a little feedback here. Reverend Deddeh, I think it's from your end. You logged in twice.
Let me turn this off. I think something's going on. Let me turn this off and see.
Okay.
Something's not right here.
Because you log in. You log in.
Maybe you got two lines open.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So now, while he's doing that, let's go on here. Look, so you see a lot of prosperity preachers, and they're exploiting the poor according to you, and they are doing it just for the money business according to you, and they are not actually preaching the gospel message. That you
this is me. It's somebody calling me. Sorry, I don't know who is calling me.
Yeah. Okay. And so from the way you're looking at it, the Reverend Deddeh, you'll have to remove one of your string, log off in one of them because his feedback is getting you at two in the studio. There you go. Okay.
I got it.
Okay, now you go. Okay. So now the recent stampede in Nuclear Town, where people had a crusade, the people had a crusade, and then later on heard news about the Zocos coming to rob them, and the people died. Nearly 29 or 30 died from there. And so those who are doing this whole fast healing, fast deliverance, do you see them? Do you see those who are engaged in that as false teachers or preachers or prophets, or they are only there for their own personal gain or self-aggrandizement?
You got both correct. It's personal gain, self-aggrandizement, and it cannot deliver to the people. Oh, this year I see the greatness for you. You get a car, you go to America, you do this. That's nonsense. I always tell people, yeah, prayer is good, but you need works. If somebody is not putting in the modalities, whether it's an application for a visa, whether it's an application for a scholarship, whether it's working to get the funding, how would they go to America? That just by prayer? I don't believe stuff just happens like that. I believe you got to work for things for it to happen. So a lot of times these prosperity preachers are frowned on them. There are some preachers who are, traditional, who are focused on building the person's spirituality and all of those things. But many are not. Many are just focused on what they can collect that day from the people, what they can get from them to support their own lifestyle. And that's a problem for me.
So if our country needs a spiritual healing, how do you think we can do so? Genuinely or authentically?
Well, that's the thing. Most of us are not genuine. Most of us are duplicitous. We're not honest with ourselves. We're not honest with the people we interact with. Many people are into this whole witchcraft business. You can pray today and tonight they're doing witchcraft, and I don't even know the value of that witchcraft thing, It's like, does it really work for you? If it works for you, then why are you in the position you are in? How can you go and do human sacrifice, even maybe animal sacrifice, or be doing all this stuff they call chanting and other stuff, going to somebody to make medicine, you gotta sacrifice cow, this and that. What do you get from it? What is the real result? Most times those things are not effective. Prayers, I believe, along with works, can be effective because you got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, you got to be committed to whatever you're trying to be successful with, and put in the time to do those things, to understand it, to lay out step-by-step plan as to how you get to your goal. when people can do that consistently, buttress with taking themselves to a spiritual place where they can pray, where they can really meditate and focus on how they can achieve those goals. I think those are the success factors that they need.
And what do you think about President Weah, who gets on the pulpit and preaches
That's a
and
joke. That's a complete joke. But we are
why
now a
so?
man of the what?
Why so? Why you think it's a joke?
It's a joke. It's a ridiculing of God. That's like joking around. Where is his training to be a minister? What has he or what divinity school did he go to? And even if you really dissect some of the sermons he gave, it's just about having a bullet pulpit. So that's just ridiculing God. That's joking around with God.
And so, what is your future with the ANC party now?
Well, I'm a member of the ANC. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. You see, people like to think that job defines people. Maybe for some people, a job defines them. I don't have to work with Mr. Cummings. Not at all. I'm a
What do you think
professional.
about him? What do you think about him? What do you think about him?
Oh, I think Mr. Cummings is a phenomenal leader. I think Mr. Cummings, because you see, sometimes I even ask the guy, I say, Chief, why are you doing this? Mr. Cummings could go anywhere in the world, chill, be in a 5-star hotel for the rest of his life, or he can live in his mansion and just chill. But Mr. Cummings is in the gutter, in the trenches, trying to reach to the minds, trying to reach to the hearts of the Liberian people and share his vision with them and get them on board with him. Let them understand what he's trying to do. And for many of our young people, wherever they want to go to in this world, whatever goal they want to achieve, Mr. Cummings is a good example of that goal. Somebody who has put in the time and got the benefits. Somebody who has nearly everything he wants, but is still hardworking. Honestly, I've never met anybody who probably works as hard or harder than me than Mr. Cummings. Seriously. So I'm very impressed with him. I'm impressed with his decision making. Sometimes people say he's arrogant. No, he's not. Far from it. He's a humble guy. He seeks input from multiple people on issues, but he has that ability to hone in on the essential and critical elements of all those contributions and be able to say, look, this is the direction we're going in. And that's the ability of a leader, and he has the ability to inspire people. He's kind, he's humble, he's respectful to you, but he also has a mindset that there are certain ways that you can do things to be successful. And he has been on that success path for a long time. This is somebody who has had constant elevation in corporate America. And people don't understand what the glass ceiling is in corporate America. So many people, smart people, capable people, competent people, experienced people, educated people cannot rise to certain levels in corporate America because of the racism, because of the selectivity, because of the politics. So for that man to have accomplished what he did, many people should respect him. And being able to, segue into the political scene and transfer some of those skills. Many of those skills are transferable because corporate America is politics. Corporate America, the budget he was dealing way greater than the Liberian budget. And being able to dissect that budget, being able to effectively monitor that budget and implement it in a way that benefits the majority of Liberians, he has that ability. So, I really believe Mr. Cummings gives us the best opportunity as Liberia to move our country forward.
Is he a Christian?
Yes, he's a Christian.
Good. Okay, and we look at we Reverend Deddeh.
No, but Reverend Deddeh resemble Weah. No, I'm just kidding.
I resemble who? I resemble you?
No, I said no. You look like me a little bit, but I say you look like John Weah. That's easy.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But you see, I keep coming back to your faith journey because Alex explained so eloquently that when things happen, sometimes our faith journey, our faith helps us to go through the situation. And I asked the question before, but I wasn't too clear because you told me you're not a religious man. Fair. I'm not a religious man as well. I'm a Christian. Your religiosity is different from Christianity. So right. I want to ask you again, how has your faith increase helped you through this journey in the last few days?
I think most of the people around me I was impressed by the volume of prayers, the care, the concern from people. And I think, like I've always said, though, even though I don't engage in it, but prayers with works makes the difference.
You don't engage in prayer? That's what you're telling me? You don't pray?
I really do. I'm being honest. I believe in God. I believe, I was Catholic. I grew up Catholic. So I believe in the Holy Trinity, all of those things.
But
I
you don't
believe in
pray.
it. But I'm not a practicing Christian like I should be. I will be honest and admit it, right? Because I have questioned my faith. I have questioned, why should Liberia be so God-forsaken? And there's a God that creates opportunity for other people. What is it that we need to do as a people? Is there a spiritual hold on the development of our country? Look, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I met a guy. He wrote a book. He said there are altars located around Liberia, especially in Monserrado County, where they are doing human sacrifices that limits the opportunity for Liberia to grow. So, am I supposed to believe that? Is that a realm that I need to graduate to get to understand what's happening there? I mean, I go to some places, I tell people, look, let me tell you, all that wish you're talking about, nobody can wish me. The only thing you can do is poison me. But you, if you with your bomber on, you can sit down in a hot 5 miles away and make lightning can hit me or make some kind of wish that I agree, let me die then. But you can definitely poison me. You can put something down, maybe I can step on. You can put something in my food, you can put something in my water. Yeah, you can do that. But all this witchcraft thing, where is it taking us?
Well, you gave a very good description. You have not answered my question. How has your faith taken you through this situation?
How are you been gaining strength?
I was being honest. I said I didn't lean on my faith. I believe the faith and prayers of others what carried me through this process. I was focusing more on my ability to act in a situation, to deal with the stress of being under quote unquote arrest while they pretending like they were they intercepted me, they detained me, and whatever word they wanted to use, but they were running away from the arrest word. But effectively, they arrested me and they held me until they were ready for me to go. Because I tried to leave, I couldn't leave. So we need to really look at this whole religion thing. Our religious leaders need to come together. They need to really set a different standard. They need to look at the moral fabric of our society, how torn it is, how the people come to church on Sunday, and right after they leave church, they go to the negative things, and for the rest of the week, they go to the negative, and then on Sunday, they dress up and come to church. Some of them even go to church during the week. Maybe Wednesday, they go for Bible study. Maybe Thursday, they go help clean the church. For me, like my pa used to take her to Cali church, that big Cali church there. Every Saturday, me, my brother, and my sister, until my sister got a little older, they were only me and my brother. We used to dust that church. Every bench, and he can't check it, he put his finger there today. If dust on it, we got to go back and do it. So we put our time in. I was an altar boy in the church, we put our time in. But at the end of the day, can we try to influence our people for them to live a better life, for us to increase our moral fabric, for us to love each other a little bit more, for us to help those unfortunate people, create programs for them? But I think my time is over because I see we've been here 1 hour and 3 minutes.
Yes, we're about to wrap up here. Yeah, and you just ending on a very good note here because we believe that if a person has a personal relational fellowship with Jesus Christ, whose character we can see God's reflection of his love, his mercy, his grace, his goodness, and his benevolence. And if we can truly believe or genuinely believe that our faith through prayer and supplication can, first of all, save us to open our eyes more and love the way Christ wants us to love and to treat other people with dignity and respect, I believe one by one we'll be able to build our country. Any final word before you leave? What will be your final word to both the political arena and the church arena as well as the common people? What would you like to tell them? Why? Because your desire, according to you, is to make sure that you involve your personal initiatives as well as through a nonprofit initiatives and other things that you are doing. What will be your final word?
Well, really, my final words, I want to appreciate you all for having this platform. I think it's essential. You know, the mix of politics and religion are not too, distance from each other. There's a lot involved there. Right now in Liberia today, many of our, religious people are politicians. They are members of political parties. Some of them are even representatives. So it all forms a part. Well, how do we as a people move our country forward? How do we build a value system that everybody is aware of and understands? How can we connect some of our indigenous people to what the mainstream is doing so that they can try to understand their rights as citizens? Civics is so important. Everybody will not go to school. How can we find a way to do community civics that's more interactive? We have developed a program for that in terms of Civics and Service International. When we're child steps, we wrote a civics book that is actually the current textbook used in schools. But there's also a community component to that civics program that we are still looking for funding to implement to help our people. So if we can educate our people more on their rights, what good and responsible citizenship is, how they can understand our constitution, how they can understand all the different human rights agreements and treaties and principles for them to be able to, live to that level. How can they understand our justice system? What's right, what's not right? We have a duality in our system with a traditional justice system and a mainstream conventional justice system. So how we balance that duality and expose our people in 2022 to what is modern, what is current, that our young people can be competitive with other young people out there in the world. Those are all important things, and we can't shortchange them. So we have a lot of work to do. It's essential that people focus on the things that will move our country forward rather than just the personal aggrandizement or just the selfish interest, as the country suffers.
Great, great. And Mr. Isaac Vah Tukpah Jr. is the author of The Rise and Power of our president, Liberian President George Weah. He co-authored that book with Emmanuel Clark. And if Clar Weah is listening to you, write down that one page, or that's it, page 5 or 6 that you wrote regarding, her private life. What will you say? What will you say to her right now?
Okay, so let me just do a little let me just read like the portion that leads into that.
Okay.
So meeting Clyde Duncan was a breath of fresh air for George, who was at the time going through different types of women he believed that Clyde was special in a very heartwarming way. She was at the time independent and didn't come across as a gold digger like the many Liberian women that have crossed his path. Deep within his spirit, she was the type of woman he knew would have his back, besides bringing stability into his business life. He was fascinated with her charm, her simplicity, and good manners. Unlike the many Liberian women that threw themselves at him because of his status and for other reasons best known to many of them, she did not. She played a kind of hard-to-get modesty with him as he pursued her. This attitude made George want Clara the most. So before you get to that, so that was just a teaser for you to understand, the context of the development of that. So people need to go and read the book and understand what's there, and then they can come back and argue. But to extract 2 words and think that defines the whole book, to me, that's ignorance.
And hypothetically, if she were offended by those words, then the one you read, the next one, what will you say to her right now as she's watching you?
I gave a blanket apology. It's not personal. I did not create that. I was not the one who said it. It was her husband, George. I'm not apologizing on his behalf. He needs to apologize to the wife. He needs to apologize to the Liberian women because these are his thoughts. These are what's happening to him as the story goes on at this specific stage of his life when he met her. So I apologize for those who are offended by the use of the word, not because of the story or that's what told in it.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Vah. We appreciate you coming here, and we wish your journey a blessing, and hopefully goodness shall follow you with all the projects that you're working on in our home country. Hopefully you can go back safely and arrive And as we conclude here, we'd like to say thank you once again. And to all our viewers, we'd like to say thank you so much for watching us. And we'll be back here next week, the same time. And until then, we'd like to say from Gracious Hope Bible Fellowship, or Gracious Hope Podcast with Reverend Deddeh, we'd like to say have a blessed weekend. And Reverend Deddeh, it's a weekend, it's coming here, it's already here. And tomorrow you'll be featuring your regular teaching, which is at
Yeah,
5 p.m.
yeah,
Eastern Time, correct?
yeah, yeah. By the grace of God, indeed.
By the grace of God, indeed. Okay, so that's how we leave you here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back here next Saturday. It is a podcast that talks about contemporary issues that affect the Christian life of faith. And of course, it is a platform that gives you the issues and so you can be aware. And of course, KMTV management and the rest of the other staff would like to say thank you so much. My name is Alexander Red with Reverend Suah Deddeh. Until then, may you have a pleasant weekend. Bye for now.
Bye.